function is a special type of relationship where you have, for every input, you have one output. And as we have learned about lines, you're going to have two main things. You're going to have your input or your domain, and then you're going to have your output or your range. So for every input of domain, you have one output of range, or in this case, where we dealt with lines before, now we would have a line equals mx plus b. Now for function notation, we simply change our our y to mx plus b. Now I use the standard slope-intercept form just as an example to show that your function notation goes from changing your y to your fx, because we no longer have that xy relationship. We have a domain range or input-output relationship. So this would look something like that. And again, function notation deals with the domain or its input and its range or its output, where we've referred to previously as our xy. So if we take an equation and we put it in, a function, and we put it in function notation, f of x equals 3x minus 2. That's f of x. That just means the function of x. So wherever we evaluate x, we get a f of x back. So we can create a table. So taking that table, now if I evaluate my x for -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, I get corresponding output values in the evaluation. So let's do -2 as an example. So when you evaluate -2 into our function, f of -2, f of x equals 3x minus 2, that is our function. Then we turn around and we say f of -2, we would replace our x with -2, so we have f of -2 equals 3 times -2 minus 2. We just do our order of operations, and it turns out that f of -2 equals -8. So our table, x equals -2, f of x is -8. And doing one more real quick, let's just go ahead and do f of -1. And that would be 3 times -1 minus 2. So f of -1 equals -3 minus 2, or -5. So f of -1 equals -5. And finishing up our table, of course, if we go back in, we fill in f of 0, f of 1, f of 2. We have our corresponding f of x outputs. And that is a quick introduction to function notation, introduction to functions, domain, range, input, output. Again, our input is our x value, our output is our f of x.